Understanding the distortions is something that a navigator of a ship might have to concern himself with, and he can work around them if he knows how the map works. In other words, you can still find yourself from A to B on these flat maps with these flat systems of flat grids measured with stars on a flat Earth. They all still work. But what, it's my bad that they don't match? Go and speak to the Cartography Society. How dare you challenge me with this crap? All I prove is that the system itself came from flat Earth measurements. Beyond that, the inaccuracy of cartography is not my concern. Moan to them. Moan to the map makers, not me.
My next question from Art something Lives. I'm not going to try to pronounce and butcher the first part of his name. It's an odd question because it assumes, and it comes with an assumption, if GPS signals come from towers instead of satellites, that would be the assumption. How are ships able to receive those signals in the middle of the sea, nowhere near any towers at all?
I don't know. I'm not a GPS expert. What I do know is it uses a Mercator projection, which is a globe projection that's been wrapped around flat Earth measurements taken from the stars, as detailed about 3 times so far. So GPS is assumed to be using a system of satellites in a sky vacuum. Again, we've already dealt with this in this AMA. There are no satellites in a sky vacuum to give you your GPS signals. As for me then making a positive claim about how you receive your signals on your GPS that uses a flat plane Mercator projection, that's a global projection, that's using latitude and longitude measured off a flat plane to wrap around a globe to roll out after projecting onto a tube flat, means nothing to me. It's a flat system. There is zero elevation change in that navigation system. It's all done with respect to a flat grid called the Mercator projection. It's a flat Earth proof because there's no elevation changes. It's not wrapped around a ball. The only time it ever was wrapped around a ball was when you took flat Earth elevation angle measurements to Polaris, made circles out from that GP position directly below Polaris to give you that grid of latitude. Then you measure the sun to give you longitude. It makes a grid on a circle map. You can then take that circle and plop it on a ball, stretching out the bottom section, making it vastly inaccurate. You then take that ball and project the points back out onto a cylinder, and then cut the cylinder down the centre and roll it out flat. Voila, Mercator projection. That's the flat map used in GPS. And if you point out that it's a flat map, people go, oh, it's a globe projection. Just dealt with it. Globe projection that came from flat Earth elevation angle measurements to Polaris in the first instance. So it's a flat world, a flat system, a flat map, using the flat territory that's been charted flat from the first day it was ever charted. In every single respect, a flat Earth proof. What's that? What if they don't come from ground towers? Who cares? The whole system's proving a flat Earth. Hope that answers your question.
Let's skip that question. Seems a bit ridiculous to me.
Let's have it anyway.
It's just another conspiracy question. Sorry, the question I was saying is ludicrous. Someone said, please show me a functioning flat Earth map. I think that is the most requested question I've ever gotten.
Brilliant question. Show me a functioning flat Earth map. All of them. All of them use a flat map. If you're going to be moving around the ground full stop, you will be doing it on a chart or on a map. And they're all flat. Why? Well, because if you're going to use them with the system that's been developed with flat Earth elevation angle measurements, then they have to be flat. If you're plotting out circles of equal elevation to find your position with the stars, then you're going to have to draw circles on a flat map, because that's how the system works. So in order for it to be functional for navigation, all of them must be flat, because that's how the world is referenced.
Someone's asking a question about distances. He says, explain why there is such a huge difference in distance between South America and Australia. The distance between London to New York does not correspond to the distance between Sydney to Santiago. For example, Sydney to Santiago is a 12.5-hour flight. The flight between London to New York is only 8 hours. How do you explain the differentiation between these two?
Why? Why would I explain the differences between these two? When he says these distances are different. Okay, says you. I haven't made a claim about this. If you want my best guess why, I can read between the lines that he says that he's got 2 comparative maps he's not named, where the distances when measured out on the map by scale are different. I can only assume that that's what his question is. Number 1, I'm not a cartographer. Number 2, I didn't make a claim about this. Number 3, I've just gone through the process of explaining how a fundamentalist religious globe belief has been inserted into our cartography system by taking flat Earth elevation angle measurements to the stars to plot on the ground, to then take that circular system and wrap it round a ball. And then taking that very distorted southern hemisphere wrapped around a ball, you then project it onto a cylinder and roll it out flat. That's going to cause problems. Why do we do it? Oh, well, because we've got a fundamentalist religious belief in the Western world that we're on a sphere, and heaven forbid anybody point out that we're mapping and charting and using the world flat with these flat maps. You need something in there to make you believe that it's a, quote, globe projection. Well, if you do that crap to affirm your sphere belief, you're going to have systems of navigation that differ vastly because of the way you've decided to distort the world to incorporate a globe belief into it. We work with a flat ground, and that is how it's mapped and charted. The fact that there are thousands of these maps, and many of them are used as defence by globe believers as, quote, globe projections, and it's because they're rolled out flat that they're distorted. So what, it's a defence for you when it doesn't match a globe, but I get put on the spot as a flat earther, non-cartography flat earther that I'm not claiming to be, for a distortion in the millions of flat maps that we use. Who cares? The grid system on all of them, if it's latitude and longitude, which it is flat. But you're going to moan about how you putting it onto a bloody ball and then putting it onto a cylinder by projection and then rolling it back out flat doesn't work when you compare 2 different maps that have been done in 2 different ways. Yeah, shocking, isn't it? Wouldn't it be useful if the world of cartography actually did give us an accurate map for the world? Yeah, we don't get that though, do we? But well, that's my fault as a flat earther. Nah. All of the distortions that are in these maps that we use flat still work if you know the system of distortion that it's come from. Like Mercator projections with a square grid rather than a circular grid. Well, knowing how it works means you can see a bent line which would be straight when you plot out something on that map. So understanding the distortions is something that a navigator of a ship might have to concern himself with, and he can work around them if he knows how the map works. In other words, you can still find yourself from A to B on these flat maps with these flat systems of flat grids measured with stars on a flat Earth. They all still work. But what, it's my bad that they don't match? Go and speak to the Cartography Society. How dare you challenge me with this crap? All I prove is that the system itself came from flat Earth measurements. Beyond that, the inaccuracy of cartography is not my concern. Moan to them. Moan to the map makers, not me. When you do, recognise how flat you're using the world and how any elevation angle measurement made ever to develop these maps required Earth be flat. Because that's all I'll ever lean on, because it's all I concern myself with. A delta of the flat map and flat grid and flat measurements off a flat Earth is the inaccuracies of the distortions that you're going to put on my door. Bit like gas pressure gradients. Who cares? So long as we've got a flat system measured off a flat Earth, that's the end of my concern in this subject. Oh, all the maps are inaccurate. Yeah, well, it used to be that you globe believers told us that was because it was from the globe to make it flat that caused the distortion, that caused the inaccuracies. But now suddenly that's my bloody problem. No, it isn't. Earth's measured and navigated flat. That's all that matters for me as a flat earther. Because it proves we're on a flat Earth.
XPT, are you there, my friend?
Huh?
It's your turn to shine. Explain gravity to us.
All right. Well, I've got a follow-up question as well, actually. So when that person talks about flight hours, I'm going to try and ask that same question, but a bit differently. So if it's like from Alaska to Russia, right, the 2 borders, that probably takes a couple hours. But if it was from the UK to New York, it would take an extra load of hours. What is under the flat Earth? So, you've got the whole globe, right? What is under that? Since it's flat, there's got to be something under that. What is that?
What the hell?
What is under
Sounded like
The
you're
flat
asking.
Earth.
Yeah, I heard your question. And I went, what the hell? Under flat Earth? What, like underneath the topsoil? Maybe rocks?
Yep.
Maybe rocks and stuff?
Rocks.
Is that what you wanted?
Right.
I
So
don't know why you're
if
asking
there's
me.
rocks,
Yeah,
if there's
yeah,
rocks, how
under the
can you have a
soil.
short flight to Russia to Alaska if it's just rocks? Because you can see the sea
What's your question?
from Russia to Alaska. Right? You know where Alaska is.
Yeah, why are you asking me this? Have I made a claim about this?
I'm asking you because if it's just rocks, then how can nobody see rocks and we can actually see everything on the graph?
You've asked me what's under flat Earth, and I've said what under the topsoil, like the rocks under the topsoil. Is that what you're asking? You're like, yeah.
No. Okay. So you got a flat Earth, right? You got America, Russia. You got all these different countries, right?
Yeah.
And what is under that?
Under the countries.
Yep.
I have no idea.
The other side of the flat Earth is what I'm asking.
Other side? I don't know what you're talking about. There is no other side.
You've got a flat Earth, right?
Maybe repeat it the
You got a
same
flat Earth,
again.
yeah?
Maybe if you repeat it again, I'll understand it. Expand on what you're asking me. What's under the flat Earth? That makes no sense to me as a question.
It does make sense.
Can you
You've got
repeat it in
all
a
the
different
countries,
way?
right, on
Because
one
I'm
side.
just confused.
What's on the other side?
Other side, like on the flip side of a coin, like antipodal to what we experience. Is that what you mean? Is there something antipodal? I don't claim that, so... You claim antipodal positioning system as a globe. That's your claim. You're trying to ask me, by way of burden of proof reversal fallacy, how to describe something that you have as a begging the question fallacy. That's antipodal positioning. In your mind, when you stand at the North Pole and then traverse the globe Earth in your begging the question fallacy, you will reach the South Pole, and the feet of your original position would be underneath your feet, like you'd be dangling where the other person's standing upright. Antipodal positioning is a globe claim, not my claim. But you're asking me to explain antipodal positioning system by assumption, by a burden of proof reversal. I don't make this claim. It's a globe claim.
All right, Nathan. I think I overwhelmed you a bit. I'll go to my main question. So, with gravity, right?
Hold
Everything.
on, XPP. You're gonna have to, if you're gonna say you overwhelmed him, you're gonna have to explain how. Because I think we're all just as confused as he is, right?
Not sure about that one.
Your question made no sense.
So,
brother.
my main. What?
Did your
You go
question
on,
made no
ask your next
sense?
question.
Your question made no sense because you've taken a
I thought
concept.
you yelled at everyone about interrupting and you just did it to me.
You asked what he said. Somebody said the question made no
All right,
sense. So
all right.
listen.
So if it's like from Alaska to Russia, right? The two borders, that probably takes a couple hours. But if it was from the UK to New York, it would take an extra load of hours. What is under the flat Earth?